welcome Andrew Brunette onto the show. First off, congratulations on the new gig. Listening to you earlier today, you can tell how much it means to you to be going back to Nashville. I'll just start with this, Andrew. What has the last 24 hours been like for you?
It's been a whirlwind, Jackie. You know, it's been ever since we kind of got knocked out in Jersey, I guess almost 3 weeks ago. It just feels like it's just been on this tour of endless phone conversations and really no chance to decompress. So it's almost surreal that I'm here and things happen, escalated so fast the last few days. But obviously, excitement level to be coming back to the place where I sort of started in the National Hockey League, and with people that I've been around with forever. It's a pretty special moment, and you know, day one of work starts now.
Yeah, and you mentioned about year one with that Predators organization, and maybe can you look at it now from playing on that team in year one in Nashville? Just over the years, you've played against the Nashville Predators, you've coached against them in various places. I mean, what has hockey kind of changed and grew down there in Nashville? Because we were there for the finals against the Penguins, and I was like, this is probably the coolest atmosphere I've ever seen in hockey.
Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable. The first year in playing in the city, and you wouldn't even recognize it the way it was then, and now, where there's cranes all over the building, and the city's kind of grown up exponentially. And the game of hockey. I remember the first year, you know, I think they were super excited to have a team, and it was an electric place to play. But I think the rules of the game and the flow, they were just happy to be there. I don't think they understood icing or offsides, but it was fun. It was fun. You had the country stars, so it was quite a scene, and to see it evolve, and credit to the organization, to the players that helped grow the game from the grassroots level at that point to where it's now. It's unbelievable. I was just talking about, I was at a tournament maybe a couple of years ago, and you see all these junior Nashville Predator teams, and when I was here in '98, you never would have thought hockey would have taken off the way it has. So it's a pretty special market to be a part of as it continues to grow, both the size of the city and hopefully the hockey. It's to be part of it again is obviously pretty special.
Hey, Brew, congratulations again. But do you get a chance to decompress now? Or, like, are you starting tomorrow to go to watch Milwaukee play in the finals? or because I just remember when I went to Anaheim, I didn't know anybody in the West. And you've been in the East for the last couple of years. Sometimes you just don't get to know the players unless you start talking to them right away.
Exactly. And yeah, you don't really get to decompress probably going in for it. It's really important, especially, as you know, in this day and age, and kind of learn a lot off you that way with the communication with the players. I remember on your blackboard saying you got to make sure you talk to or have a piece of every player every day, and that's something I took from you, Bruce. So I think for me, trying to get into constant communication right away, especially in today's world and today's game, we need to talk and we need to understand each other to build relationships, to build trust, to build connection. So I think it starts right away. Fortunate, a lot of people want to live in Nashville, so there's quite a few guys here, and that process will start tomorrow, and get to know these guys here going forward will be really important for me going, you know, into training camp this year.
It's shocking to hear the players enjoy the atmosphere in Nashville. I never thought I'd hear that. But I'm curious to know, like, what you go for this interview, right, in Nashville. Barry Trotz is there. You walk in, you're about to be interviewed by Barry Trotz. What's the first question that he asks you? Because obviously you guys know each other and have a history. So what was that like? It must have been an interesting interview experience.
Yeah, it was a little different from some of the other ones, and they were all great in their own different ways. I think just the relationship I've had with Barry for 30 years, kind of being my first pro coach and being there when, you know, I was drafted, and without him and Paul Gardner, I probably never would have played in the NHL. I mean, so it goes back a long way, and we've kept constant communication together. Obviously, he's a little bit mentor in how he sees the game and how he coaches, and I took a lot of the things I learned from him throughout my career, not just as a player, but as a coach. And so it was pretty seamless, you know, and the interview process probably started with a couple of jokes. I mean, we've had some really good times together. We've had some down times together. We've built relationships with all kinds of different people in the game that we've kept constant contact with over the years. And so it was more of a reunion, you know, especially early on, and some really good laughs of the times we've had.
Bruno, we just heard in the thing prior where Trotzy said you're a hockey junkie. And I remember I loved playing under you in Minnesota, and just you were kind of in that assistant coach role where you'd come in and just be like a different angle on the game and just give, hey, do you ever think of this? And it just made you think as a player, and you always seem to be thinking as maybe even outside the box as a hockey player when you played even. So, you know, how is that? Is that something that, I mean, that is a part of what you are, but when you become now a head coach, you've been a head coach in this league, do you have to, I always found that to be unique with different guys, right? Like, I've talked to players where you have an assistant coach. I've had him as an assistant coach, and he brought these things. I talked to someone else who had that guy in another team as a head coach, and he's like, really, it was a little bit different. Like, how do you navigate that?
I think you navigate it through authenticity, and I'm not going to change who I am. Players see right through that, and I'm going to be me. And me maybe is a little outside the box, but there's nothing more that I do that I enjoy. Head coaching has all kinds of different pressures, as Bruce knows. But when you have a moment to share with players, you know, kind of like you're talking about, you know, Rupper, where you can get out and have one-on-one time, and that's not going to change. That's something that actually for me is the best part of coaching. Time constraints changes it from an assistant to a head, but I'm going to manage that. I did in Florida. I want to make sure I have a connection. I want to make sure that I have time for my players, and I want to be me. I'm going to be I'm just going to be who I am, and you know, get out and be with the guys. And by the way, Rupper, that was the best backhander. I didn't teach you that, but you get the best backhander in hockey. I got to see it again.
You saw it in all the bag skates. Yeah, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. Hey, if I can hang my head on having a strong backhand from a guy like you, I'll take it every day of the week.
The best I've ever seen. The best I've seen.
Wow.
I was borderline player with the right-hand stick as a lefty.
Well, let me ask you about your team. I mean, you take over as head coach. You look at the Predators as they are currently constructed. I mean, what excites you about what you're inheriting here?
Well, I think the direction and some of the players Bruce talked about a little bit, it's a little different. I haven't seen them up close and personal, but the COVID year, we got to see this group and to see a Roman Josi and see some of these players with the skill level. That's exciting. And then obviously the prospects and the draft picks coming in, the draft capital through the next few years, we're going to see a little influx of young talent, which is very exciting to mix in with the guys that have played, that have been through a lot of these wars. So there's a pretty good synergy there, or there's an opportunity to have good synergy. And then you got arguably the best goalie in the league. So it's really enticing.
Juicy.
Yeah, it's exciting and enticing. So it you know, it's always going to have its challenges, but you know, I believe in this group, and I believe that we can try to find a way here to be real competitive.
So if you took this job, any coach took a job, and you had you didn't know who your goalie was. You didn't know, like, if you're going to have a good goaltender. Like, you probably would have to, you know, formulate the way you're going to be as a team differently. Like, you've got that. Like, that's got to feel pretty good, right, in there to go with UC Saros as your starting goaltender? Yeah,
exactly. And we all know that. You know, Bruce could attest to that all the time. You just, when you got the goaltender at that level and that kind of style, it makes everything a little easier as a head coach. We can mess things up a little bit more because, you know, you have a good goaltending. You can be a little poor coacher because you have that backbone. All kidding aside, but it does instill that confidence, and it allows your team to have a chance to be in every game. And we all know how contagious winning is. If you can get on the roll and you got goaltending, it's amazing to watch the growth of a group if you can get on that roll, and that's something hopefully we can get on this year.
Well, one team that is on the roll of a very hot goaltender right now is the Florida Panthers. I know you're a hockey junkie. Barry Trotz said it, so it must be true. I assume you've been watching the playoffs as they have played out a little bit. What do you make of this matchup in the final between Vegas and Florida? What do you make of it before we let you go?
I think it's going to be a great matchup. I mean, it's exciting for hockey. You know, the Florida Panthers play the most exciting game in the league, or one of them anyways. And the way that Vegas has played through the playoffs and the way they defend and the way they play a complete game, it's going to be a real good battle between two similarly highly competitive teams, maybe play a little bit differently. Bob's on top of his game right now, which is scary if you're Vegas. But yeah, it's going to be fun to watch. Obviously, proud of that group in Florida and how they've done what they've done this year, which is a remarkable story. And kind of how it left off last year and win the President's Cup and being disappointed and finding themselves where they are now. I'm proud of them, and I'm not surprised they did it, and I wish them the best of luck.
All right, well, we wish you the best of luck. Congratulations again on being named the head coach of the Nashville Predators. And hey, are you going to the draft?
No, I'm not.
Oh, well, I'm going to the draft, so I'll see
All
you
right.
in Nashville. I'm very excited.
Well, thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks,
Take
Bruno.
care.
Congrats.
Yeah, congratulations again.
Thanks.